The View's Hot Topics table had witnessed genuine confrontations before, but nothing quite prepared the studio for what unfolded this particular Thursday. Meghan Markle sat in the guest chair, composed and ready for what she assumed would be a straightforward conversation about her various projects. Sharon Osbourne sat as the other guest, there to discuss her recent Grammy tribute to Ozzy, her ongoing grief, and her characteristic refusal to filter her opinions, regardless of who was listening. Whoopi Goldberg guided the conversation through the usual pleasantries. The energy felt manageable initially. Then Sharon asked a simple question about Archwell's actual impact. Just a direct question, delivered with the particular bluntness of someone who'd spent decades in entertainment, refusing to accept polished non-answers from anyone, royal or otherwise. What Meghan said in response revealed something the cameras couldn't miss. What Sharon said after that, sharp, unfiltered, devastatingly honest, would become the single most replayed daytime television moment of the month. Because Sharon Osbourne had buried her husband less than a year earlier. And when someone whose humanitarian language existed primarily in press releases tried to lecture her about hardship, Sharon wasn't having any of it. This is the confrontation nobody saw coming. Subscribe now, hit that notification bell, and let's see what happened. The View studio had its usual Thursday energy. The famous table, the live audience, two prominent guests scheduled for what producers expected might be a spirited but manageable conversation. Sharon was there to discuss her ongoing grief process and recent tribute performances honoring Ozzy. Meghan was there discussing her various current ventures. Sharon arrived first, settling into her chair with the particular weariness of someone who'd spent the past year navigating profound loss while still showing up for work. Meghan arrived shortly after, her usual entourage in tow, greeting everyone with practiced warmth. "Sharon, I was so moved by the Grammy tribute." Sharon's response was measured. "Thank you. It was difficult, watching other people perform your husband's life back at you." The segment began normally enough, Whoopi guiding conversation through current events, Sharon discussing her grief process, some standard banter about resilience and moving forward. Then things shifted. "Sharon spent this past year rebuilding after losing Ozzy," Whoopi said, "learning what actually matters when everything else falls away. Meghan, you've talked about your own humanitarian priorities. Curious how that perspective compares?" Meghan smiled confidently. "Archwell focuses on creating systemic, sustainable change through meaningful partnerships." Sharon considered this, unimpressed. "That's a lot of words that don't actually say anything. What has it actually done? I've spent 40 years in this business. I know when someone's giving me a press release instead of an answer. Our impact operates across a longer timeline than immediate results suggest. I buried my husband 11 months ago. I know about timelines. I know about what actually matters versus what sounds nice in an interview. What's the real answer?" "We've built meaningful partnerships across multiple sectors," Meghan said, her composure holding but strained. "Partnerships that did what, though? Specifically?" "I've raised money for actual causes my whole career. Ozfest built real things, real opportunities for real bands who had nothing. I can point to specific outcomes. Can you?" "Our approach differs from traditional frameworks." "Different how?" "Because from where I'm sitting, different sounds like an excuse for not having actual results. I don't have patience for that kind of talk anymore. Not after this year." Joy tried to interject. "I think what Meghan means is—" "I'd like Meghan to actually explain it herself," Sharon said, her tone unwavering. "What exactly has Archwell built that we can point to?" "We focus on systemic change across mental health, gender equity, and community initiatives." Systemic change. I've heard that phrase from every charity that's never actually built anything concrete. Name one hospital wing, one scholarship program, one specific thing with your name attached that exists because of your work. Just one. Silence stretched at the table. "That silence tells me everything, love. I could name 100 things I've actually built. You can't name one. Let's discuss the business ventures, Sharon continued, her characteristic directness unwavering. Netflix, the Jam brand, all of it. Reports suggest it's mostly underperformed. What's your honest take on that? Every venture faces natural evolution. Evolution. That's a nice word for failure, isn't it? I've had things fail publicly too. Shows canceled, deals fallen through. I don't dress it up in corporate language. I just say it didn't work. Why can't you? You're characterizing normal business challenges unfairly. I'm characterizing them the way anyone in this industry actually would. I've been doing this since before you were born, love. I know the difference between a genuine setback and someone avoiding accountability. My ventures have delivered exactly what was contractually promised. Contractually delivered isn't the same as actually successful. I've seen plenty of contracts fulfilled by people phoning it in. The industry doesn't call something evolution when it flops. They call it a flop. You're the only one dressing it up. I don't think you fully understand the entertainment landscape I'm operating in. I've been in this landscape since before Netflix existed, love. I've seen every kind of spin there is. Yours isn't new. It's just the newest version of an old trick. There's been reporting about you seeking guidance from Kris Jenner, Sharon said, her curiosity blunt rather than diplomatic. That's a strange fit given everything you claim to represent. What's that actually about? I value insights from successful businesswomen. Kris Jenner's entire business is exposure and exploitation of family life for profit. That's the opposite of what you've built your image around. So either your image is fake, or that friendship doesn't actually make sense. Which is it? That's a reductive characterization of a business relationship. I've watched reality television build and destroy careers for 30 years. I know exactly what that relationship represents. You don't have to pretend with me. Not everyone approaches business the way you did on your own shows. No, but at least I never pretended I was doing humanitarian work while learning branding tricks from the most exposure-hungry family in America. That's the part that bothers me. The pretending. I don't appreciate being accused of pretending. I'm not accusing, love. I'm observing. You built your whole brand on privacy and purpose. Then you're taking notes from someone who built hers on the opposite. That's not an accusation. That's just what I'm seeing plainly. Your father, Sharon continued, her tone softening only slightly. Given everything about family and reconciliation happening on Harry's side lately, has your own father come up at all? Meghan's expression closed. My relationship with my father is private. I just spent 11 months learning that private doesn't matter when time runs out. I'd give anything, for one more conversation with Ozzy. You have a living father who wants to talk to you. What's actually stopping you? You don't understand the specific history there. I understand history complicates things. I also understand that when someone's gone, the history stops mattering, and all you're left with is regret. You still have time. Use it before you don't. Every family situation is different. They are, but regret feels the same in every single one of them. I promise you that. I've lived it this year, every single day. I appreciate your perspective, but it doesn't change my circumstances. It's not meant to change your circumstances. It's meant to make you think about them differently before it's too late to fix anything. The staff situation at your foundation, Sharon pressed, unwilling to let the momentum slow. I've heard the same story from multiple people in this industry. Difficult to work for, high turnover. That's not tabloid gossip, love. That's word of mouth in a business I've been part of for decades. Every organization experiences turnover. Not at the rate people describe with you. I've run production companies. I've managed bands full of egos and addiction and chaos. I know difficult workplaces. What you're describing isn't normal turnover. It's something people specifically warn each other about. You're relying on gossip rather than fact. I'm relying on decades of actually knowing how this industry talks about people. That reputation doesn't come from nowhere. Reputations can be manufactured just as easily as they're earned. They can, sure, But when it's consistent, from multiple unconnected sources, over multiple years, that's not manufacturing. That's pattern. I know the difference because I've seen both. The divorce rumors, Sharon pressed forward, unwilling to soften her approach. Persistent, specific, ongoing. What's your actual response? Tabloid fabrication entirely. I've been married nearly 44 years, through absolutely everything. Addiction, infidelity, all of it. I know what real marriage struggle looks like, and I know what denial sounds like. Which one is this? My marriage doesn't require justification to you specifically. No, it doesn't. But you're on television claiming solidity, while the entire industry is reporting something different. That gap is worth explaining, not dismissing. Every public marriage attracts speculation. Mine attracted speculation because there was actual chaos to speculate about, and I never denied it. Ozzy and I fought publicly, struggled publicly, nearly destroyed each other publicly, and I never once pretended otherwise. That's the difference between us. I choose to protect certain parts of my life. You choose to protect the parts that would complicate your image. That's not privacy, love. That's curation. Let me ask about your children, Sharon said, shifting but maintaining her bluntness. There's ugly speculation online about their parentage. How do you actually handle that? Meghan's anger surfaced immediately. Those theories are racist garbage. They are. Completely disgusting. But I've raised 3 kids in the public eye, all their lives, with cameras in our actual house. Complete transparency killed most of the ugly rumors before they could grow. Have you considered that extreme secrecy might be feeding exactly what you're trying to prevent? I protect my children from harassment. I protected mine by showing the world exactly who they were, so lies couldn't take root. Different strategy, but worth considering when yours doesn't seem to be working. You've built your own career on exposing everything about your family, Meghan said, her composure cracking. Maybe that's not the gold standard you think it is. Sharon remained unmoved. I exposed the truth, ugly as it sometimes was. Addiction, fights, real struggle. Not curated moments designed to look meaningful. There's a difference between honesty and performance, and I've spent my whole career being honest, even when it cost me. Perhaps your approach simply generated more attention. Perhaps. Or perhaps mine actually meant something because it was real. I buried my husband this year in front of the entire world, and I didn't manage that grief through press releases. I lived it, publicly, honestly. That's not the same as what you're doing. This conversation has become deeply personal, Meghan said, standing up slightly. It became personal the moment you tried comparing your business ventures to actual loss, Sharon said, her voice steady. I've spent this year learning what actually matters. Time, honesty, real connection. Watching you deflect every specific question with corporate language, that's not personal attack. That's just me being unable to pretend I don't notice. I came here expecting a supportive conversation. Support doesn't mean I stop being honest. I've never once in my career pretended something was fine when it wasn't. Not for Ozzy, not for my kids, not for anyone. I'm not starting now. I won't sit here and be treated this way, Meghan said, grabbing her purse. That's your choice, Sharon said. But walking away doesn't answer anything. Not about Archwell's actual accomplishments. Not about your father. Not about what's really happening in your marriage. Those questions exist whether you're sitting here or not. Meghan moved toward the exit. History will remember how unfairly I was treated today. History will remember someone who couldn't answer basic questions honestly when a grieving widow asked them directly, Sharon said, her tone unwavering. I've got nothing left to lose being polite about it, not after this year. Meghan left. The studio fell into stunned silence. Whoopi finally spoke. Well, that was certainly direct, Sharon shrugged, entirely unbothered. I've spent this whole year burying my husband in public, grieving in public, rebuilding in public. I don't have patience left for people who won't just say what's actually true. Life's too short for that nonsense. Joy looked genuinely moved. That was actually quite powerful, Sharon. It wasn't meant to be powerful. It was meant to be honest. I've learned this year that honesty is really all that matters in the end. Everything else is just noise. Sarah added quietly, I don't think anyone's ever pushed her that directly on this show before. Maybe someone should have, a long time ago, Sharon said. Nobody in this business actually says the truth to people like her anymore. Everyone's too worried about the fallout. Whoopi turned to the camera. I want to be clear about what just happened. Sharon asked legitimate, direct questions, informed by an incredibly difficult year of loss and rebuilding. When those questions became uncomfortable, the response was deflection rather than honesty. She paused. I've known Sharon a long time, watched her survive things most of us can't imagine, very publicly, very honestly. When someone who's actually buried her husband this year starts asking pointed questions about substance versus performance, that carries weight most interviews simply don't have. I want to add something, Sharon said, her tone growing quieter. I wasn't trying to embarrass her today. I was trying to get an honest answer, just once, about something real. I've spent this whole year discovering that most of what people worry about doesn't actually matter. What matters is whether you're honest with the people in front of you. She couldn't do that today, and that's genuinely sad to me, more than anything. Joy nodded slowly. I think that landed with all of us. It should, Sharon said. Grief teaches you things nothing else can. I'd rather she learn it a different way than I did. Anna added, It's rare to see someone that unguarded on this show. Most guests come armored. I don't have armor left, Sharon said simply. I used all of it burying my husband. There's nothing left to protect except telling the truth. The footage aired that afternoon. ABC made no edits. The clips that spread captured the collision. I just spent 11 months learning that private doesn't matter when time runs out. That's a nice word for failure, isn't it? That silence tells me everything, love. I could name 100 things I've actually built. You can't name one. I've never once in my career pretended something was fine when it wasn't. History will remember someone who couldn't answer basic questions honestly when a grieving widow asked them directly. I don't have patience left for people who won't just say what's actually true. Meghan's team released a statement calling the confrontation an inappropriate and deeply personal attack from a fellow guest. Sharon addressed it directly through her own social media. I said what I actually think, based on what I've lived through this year. I buried my husband. I don't have energy left for polite fiction. If honesty feels like attack to her, that's not something I can fix. I stand by every word. For Sharon Osbourne, the confrontation became an unexpected demonstration of what genuine, hard-won grief teaches. The inability to tolerate performance once you've experienced what real loss actually costs. For Meghan Markle, it was uniquely damaging precisely because Sharon's bluntness came from someone with nothing left to protect. No career calculation motivating the confrontation. Just raw honesty earned through an unimaginably difficult year. Sharon asked for concrete accomplishments. Meghan offered abstractions. Sharon asked about her estranged father. Meghan deflected. Sharon shared genuine perspective on loss and time. Meghan walked out entirely. That's the whole story. 11 months since burying her husband. A lifetime of honesty, regardless of cost. And she asked one simple question a duchess couldn't answer. What's actually real? What does that tell you about the gap between performance and genuine substance? If you want more content that recognizes when hard-won honesty meets its limits, subscribe, turn on notifications, drop a like, share this with someone. More honesty, more clarity, more of what genuine grief teaches you about separating substance from performance. Stay with us.